Hi guys, I'm here to bring you your This Week at Axis video for the week of March 16th to March 20th. So we are going to be continuing with our strongman cycle and pushing ourselves in different ways. So on Monday, we have our back squat, 4 sets of 3 reps. So you should be going heavier than you did last week on the 4 sets of 4. And then for our workout, we have 5 rounds for time of 10 American kettlebell swings, 15 push-ups, 10 kettlebell curls, and 15 goblet squats with an RX weight of 62 pounds for men and 44 pounds for women. So this is the same weight as last week, but the overall volume of the movements has increased. So last week you did these movements in an EMOM 16, so you had 4 rounds of each movement and there was built-in rest time. This week it's 5 rounds for time, so the movements are a little more back-to-back with less rest time. So you should be using the same weight as last week and trying to get that increased volume, a little bit of a different challenge. Then on Tuesday, we have our strict press, 3 sets of 6 reps. Again, you should go heavier than last week. And then for our workout, we have an EMOM 16. Minute 1 will be 8 Pendlay rows. Minute 2 will be 10 dumbbell lateral raises. Minute 3, 7 weighted chin-ups. And minute 4, 12 hanging leg raises. For this one, there's no RX weight for the workout. However, on the Pendlay rows, you should go heavier than the weight you used last week because the total volume has decreased. So we went from 10 reps to 8 reps. So to keep that intensity high, you should add weight. For the lateral raises, select a weight that will allow you to complete the reps with proper form. Don't go heavier just for the sake of saying you went heavier, but then have improper form. If you are doing these correctly with light weight, you should feel them and get the benefit of them, as opposed to going heavy and doing them with improper form. Since the volume has increased on the chin-ups, so we've gone from 5 reps to 7 reps, you should try to stick with the same version that you did. So either the same weight if you're doing weighted chin-ups, unweighted if you did unweighted chin-ups, the same band if you did banded, etc. as last week. And then those hanging leg raises, we've added more reps to those. On Wednesday, we're going to have our Romanian deadlift, 3 sets of 8 reps. Again, I might sound like a little bit of a broken record here, but try to go heavier than you did last week. And then we have our partner strongman circuit. So we have our partner tire flips, our heavy kettlebell swings, gorilla rows, dumbbell clean and overhead press, and hollow hold. So there's different ways you can try to improve upon last week. Maybe you felt appropriately challenged at the weight you used last week, so you're going to stick with that weight, but try to get 1 or 2 more reps each round. Or maybe you had to break things up and take a little bit of a rest in that 40-second rest or work period. So this time you're going to try to work unbroken for the full 40 seconds. So that is our Wednesday workout. We should be mostly familiar with this one. We're going on week 3 doing it. Thursday, we have our Zercher squats. So we are going down in reps. So we're doing 3 sets of 8 reps. So the last 2 weeks, we did 3 sets of 10. We're going down in the number of reps. So we should be going up in weight, especially as we get more comfortable with this movement. Then we have an AMRAP 15 of 20 dumbbell push-ups, 100-foot farmer's carry, and 50-foot dumbbell front rack walking lunges. So the volume on the push-ups has increased, and the volume on the farmer's carry has stayed the same, so you should try to go heavier than last week. Hopefully you saw the post in the community page about how you know you've gone heavy enough. It's when your heart is beating really fast. Weather dependent, we're going to try to do these farmer's carries outside, so dress for the weather. If there's not ice and snow in the driveway, we're going to try to be outside, so you might have to bring layers with you for Thursday. Our lunge variation has changed slightly this week. So the last 2 weeks we did alternating lunges. This week we're going to do walking lunges in that front rack position. So try to use the same weight as last week that you used for the alternating lunges, but overall choose a weight that's going to appropriately challenge you. And we will repeat this one 4 weeks from now. And then lastly, on Friday, we have our bench press, 4 sets of 3 reps. So remember, we're getting a good solid pause at the bottom. And then on that last set, we are doing our drop set at a lighter weight. So if you were in that 10 to 20 rep range, that's right about where you should be for your rep out. If you were closer to 10, probably a good weight, try to beat your number of reps. If you're closer to 20, might be time to bump up the weight a little bit. If you were over 20, definitely bump up the weight on your drop set. If you were under 10, again, I would stick with that weight and try to get, 10 or more on your drop set. Then for our workout, we have our 4 supersets. And for this one, the goal is to add 1 rep each week to make it a little more challenging. So if you added 1 rep last week, it would have been 6 strict pull-ups, 21 weighted sit-ups, 11 bent over rows, and 22 hammer curls. So this week, if you're going to add 1 rep onto what you did last week, it'll be 7 pull-ups, 22 weighted sit-ups, 12 bent over rows, and 24 alternating dumbbell hammer curls. So if you didn't add 1 rep last week, that's fine. Maybe you left yourself a note in SugarWOD and you were like, that was really hard. I could, barely get the reps in or something like that. So you decided to stick with the same weight, stick with the same rep scheme. But this week, maybe you're going to add 1. So even though in SugarWOD it says the 5, 20, 10, 20 rep scheme, that's why you should be making notes for yourself what you did last week, because there's also notes in SugarWOD about, if you're adding 1 rep each week, where you should be. But anyway, that's all I have for you guys for this week. If you have any questions, reach out to accessstrengthtraining@gmail.com. Don't forget to grab your gym buddy and sign up for the Strongman competition so you can see all of this hard work and training that you're doing come to fruition. This competition is the Access Strongman competition. It is accessible for everyone. The weights are accessible for everyone. The movements, we're working on them in class. So why not try to just have some fun, grab your friend, and do a little competition. I hope you guys have a great week of training.